All right, let's just jump right into it. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling something that is absolutely fundamental to making our electronics actually, well, work in the real world. We're talking about interrupts. You know, if the microcontroller is the brain of your embedded system, interrupts are absolutely its nervous system. Without them, your keyboard wouldn't respond the instant you type, your smartphone would feel incredibly sluggish, and complex real-time embedded systems would basically be useless. So we're going to break down exactly what they are, why they exist, and how they make our technology so wildly efficient.
Now, to really grasp why we need interrupts in the first place, let's picture a highly relatable and honestly incredibly frustrating scenario. Imagine you're waiting for a super important package delivery. One way you could handle this is to get up from your desk, walk all the way to your front door, open it, check the porch for the package, and then close the door.
You walk back to your desk, you sit down, wait maybe 10 seconds, and then you get up and do it all over again. Is it there now? Nope. Okay, how about now? Still no. It is an absolutely exhausting, massive waste of energy, right? Because you're constantly checking even when literally nothing has happened.
Well, this brilliantly illustrates how early embedded systems actually operated. A microcontroller would continuously ask, has the button been pressed? No. Okay, has the button been pressed now? No. It acts exactly like an overwhelmed worker who's constantly running back to check a door. This highly inefficient technique is known as polling. Just imagine an industrial controller trying to do this while monitoring 50 sensors, multiple motors, and a safety system all at the exact same time. It's crazy. Valuable processor time is entirely wasted just asking questions that usually have no for an answer.
So let's move to section 1, the doorbell solution.
So what is the ultimate fix for this whole polling problem? Well, it's a doorbell. An interrupt is exactly that, a literal doorbell for your processor. It's a signal that temporarily stops normal program execution and requests immediate attention. You don't have to waste energy constantly checking the door every few seconds anymore. You just go about your normal business and wait for the ring. This exact mechanism is what makes everything from your laptop keyboard to your smartphone instantly responsive instead of feeling sluggish and delayed.
When an interrupt happens, the processor executes this really precise dance, usually in a matter of just microseconds. It's humming along, executing normal code, the interrupt hits, and it instantly pauses. It steps away, handles the event, and then flawlessly resumes exactly where it left off. It's honestly like it was never interrupted at all. Now that specific code it executes when it steps away is incredibly important. It's called an interrupt service routine, or an ISR. You can kind of think of the ISR as an emergency response team that's assigned to a very specific event. If a user presses a button, the interrupt triggers, the processor jumps straight to the ISR reads that button state or updates a variable, and then boom, the emergency response team packs up so the processor can get right back to its normal execution.
So where are these signals actually coming from? Well, they generally fall into two camps: hardware and software. Hardware interrupts are incredibly common in embedded systems. We're talking physical button presses or physical sensors. Software interrupts, on the other hand, are generated by the code itself. Modern operating systems rely heavily on software interrupts for things like core system calls and context switching between tasks.
Let's look a bit closer at hardware interrupts, because they're fascinating. They basically dictate how a processor interacts with its environment. They're split into external sources, like a motion sensor detecting movement or an industrial switch flipping on a factory floor, and internal sources, which happen right inside the chip itself, like a timer expiring or data finishing a UART download. And just look at this number, 1 millisecond. I want to highlight this to really capture the sheer speed and repetition we're talking about here. One of the absolute most important internal sources is the timer interrupt. You can easily configure a timer to generate an interrupt every single millisecond. The processor receives these regular timing events, kind of like a heartbeat, which allows it to perfectly schedule tasks, sample data, or precisely control a motor. Okay, section 2, the stakes, and why latency matters.
Latency is that tiny window of time between a physical event actually happening and the processor responding to it. And keeping that latency low, it is absolutely crucial. Take automotive airbags, for example. In a crash, sensors generate signals instantly. The processor has to drop whatever it's doing and deploy that airbag right now. A latency delay of just a few milliseconds could literally be the difference between life and death. Interrupt-driven design is what makes this kind of rapid safety possible.
Or consider a drone flight controller. Drones are inherently unstable, right? Gravity is constantly trying to pull them right out of the sky. To maintain stable flight, the system requires continuous, rapid-fire interrupts from its gyroscopes, accelerometers, and GPS sensors. The very moment the drone tilts even a fraction of a degree, an interrupt fires, and the processor instantly updates the flight control algorithms to correct the motors. But what happens when multiple events trigger at the exact same millisecond? Well, not all interrupts are created equal. Modern processors support strict priorities. If a factory machine gets an emergency stop signal, right as a simple display screen tries to refresh, that emergency stop wins out every single time. Systems even support what's called nested interrupts, allowing the processor to pause a medium priority routine right in the middle of its job to handle a critical high priority emergency before eventually going back to finish up the lower priority task.
And this clear contrast right here is exactly why almost all modern embedded systems have completely abandoned polling. Yeah, sure, polling is simple, but it eats up your processor time and it can totally miss fast events. Interrupts might be a bit more complex to implement, but they offer the sheer lightning-fast efficiency that real-time systems absolutely demand.
All right, Section 3, the blueprint and the rules for good design. Now, because interrupts have so much power over the processor, poorly written code will completely crash your system. The absolute #1 beginner mistake? Putting way too much code inside an ISR. Remember, the processor has paused its main job to be here. If you make it stay in the ISR too long, the whole system just freezes up. Other massive mistakes include ignoring those priorities we just talked about, unnecessarily using interrupts for absolutely everything, or forgetting that when an interrupt pauses the main code, it might accidentally corrupt shared data if that data isn't properly protected. Fortunately, the solutions to those mistakes form the golden rules of interrupt design. Above all else, keep your ISRs short and essential. Never, ever perform lengthy blocking operations inside them. The best practice is to simply use the ISR to set a flag, basically flipping a digital switch to say, hey, an event happened, and then get out. Let the main application see that flag later on and perform the heavy processing when it actually has the time. So let's connect this all back to the bigger picture of everything we've learned today. When we trace the path from the physical world straight through to complex industrial automation, interrupts are the critical bridge. Sensors trigger those interrupts, the microcontroller receives them instantly without wasting time polling. It integrates with its operating system to decide the priority, and a real-time response is flawlessly executed. Which leaves me with a final, kind of awe-inspiring thought for you to take away. Just take a look at the device you're holding right now, or the computer you're sitting in front of. From the touchscreen recognizing your fingers, to the wireless antenna receiving data, to the audio processing my voice right this second. How many thousands of invisible, rapid-fire interrupts did your device generate just while you watched this explainer? It's a vast, hidden nervous system, and now you know exactly how it all works. Thanks for watching, and stay curious.